Okay, so where did we leave off? Um, Documents, dev. I called it Kilo, right? Get status, we're clean. Git log. Yeah, so we just did a Clippy cleanup. And I forgot what the state of the editor was now. We have a bunch of different modules here, and oh, that's right, we're handling keys this way, and then we also had the other WASD business to map the WASD into arrow keys. I remember that now. So let's make this a little narrower so we can fit both sides. There we go. And is this 100 wide? Nope, it isn't. Let's do that and then maybe make the font a little bit bigger. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So we're gonna do a line viewer. So we finished all the way through step 54. Let's see what we're doing here. Let's create a data type for storing a row of text in our editor. So we're just talking about creating a single row. Okay. So sometimes text editors will just use like full memory, right? And then just wherever the cursor is, or a huge chunk of memory, and then wherever the cursor is, I don't know how to describe this. Like let's say this is memory, right? This is all memory here, the beginning to end, and you'll have text at the beginning, and you'll have text at the end, right? And then wherever the cursor is where we're going to insert, so we can just insert text as you type, and then if you move the cursor down a line or down or over a character or whatever, we'll either shift the text from here, copy it up there as we move, or if we go moving backwards, we'll copy the text there. But the bottom line is that whenever you're typing, you have all of this empty space, so you can just keep inserting characters, and you just treat the text is one giant blob of memory. But here it looks like we're going to have a row, and we're going to have it row based. So we can do that. This is the editor, and this is implementing the editor. Let's create a row, and it's called eRow for whatever reason. Struct eRow. Editor row, sure. And it's going to have a size and chars, which to me just says chars vec, or just chars string. That's the whole row. So we could just say type eRow equals string. But then we can't impl things on the eRow. I don't know if we need to. So then we can have number of rows and eRow. Okay, so why don't we just ignore all that and just stick in our editor row vec string. That gives us best of both worlds, right? We have the number of rows from the vec, and the string tells us how long the row is. Which means, yes, indeed, we do need to row vec new that. That's what this is doing here. eRow stands for editor row and stores a line of text as a pointer to the dynamically allocated character data and length. So, yep, we get that from string. The type def lets us refer to the type as eRow instead of struct eRow. We add an eRow value to the editor global state as well as a numRows variable. For now, the editor will only display a single line of text, so numRows can either be 0 or 1. We initialize it to 0 in init editor, so it's essentially 0 here. Let's fill that eRow with some text now. We won't worry about reading from a file just yet. Instead, we'll hardcode a hello world string into it. So in here, I guess we can just hardcode it this way. Back, bang, hello world, exclamation mark to string. Right, that should build. It does. We have 2 warnings. We're not reading it. We're setting it, but not reading it. Okay, so that's doing this, putting the hello world in there. And when we call editor open, Oh, I guess we weren't calling editor open before. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so we're talking now about malloc. Editor open will now... Oh, it's in the file IO section? Yep, it is. Okay. I don't know if we're going to have to create a separate module for that, or if we can just throw it all in here. All right, so load our hello world message into the editor's eRow struct. We set the size field, malloc the memory, memcopy the message into the chars field, and finally we set enumRows variable to 1. So that's all done right there in that one line. Let's display it. Okay, so now we're in draw rows. And that's screen. Ah, so now we have to pass in rows. Or self rows. Right? Oh, I just called it singular. Let's call it plural. Right, and now draw in the screen code is going to have to take in a vector. They're calling it abuff. Oh no, that's what we're drawing. Okay, so right, rows, string, like that. So this is saying now for if y is greater than or equal to enumRows. So we have an extra check here. If row is greater than or equal to self height. Oh no, enumRows. NumRows is how many rows are in the string. So it would be rows.len. Right? Shift all that over. Else we're gonna say int len is equal to eRow size. If len is greater than string calls, len is equal to string calls. AB append that. Okay. So we're going to say let len is equal to rows of 0 dot len. If len is greater than self width, we're going to truncate it, right? We're going to say self standard out. How do we only print a certain number? I guess we could try this. Q. I'm doing cursor move to. Guess they're not worried about that part here. Oh, this is how they're doing it. Okay, that's right. With the escape sequences. Cursor move to 0 row question mark, and then we can queue a print of rows of 0 dot dot len. Can we do that? ToString. Oh no, we want rows of 0 dot dot len toString. Like that. Can we do that? Else expected expression. Oh, I messed something up here. This is supposed to be for this if. Oh, it's just one extra? Nope. Okay, I'm missing the formatting here. This if goes here, then this else should go on this line here, and it isn't. Oh, I see. I missed here. Nope. 2 dots. There. Now we can't do rows len. Expected U16 found usize. Ah. Because row is... Oops. Shift K. Is a U16. So we can do as U16 here. And the same thing Oh, as usize. Oops. This is the other way around. Okay, and now we can't pass this in. Yes, we can. Okay. So this is step 57 we're actually going to draw. We wrap our previous row drawing code in an if statement that checks whether we are currently drawing a row that's part of the text buffer, or a row that comes after the end of the text buffer. To draw a row that's part of the text buffer, we simply write out the choice field of the E row. But first we take care to truncate the rendered line if it would go past the end of the screen. Okay, so cargo run. We're not seeing the hello world. So we still have a problem. Control Q. Let's see, it would be in draw. No, in screen. Oh, I put greater than or equal to. It should be greater than, right? They put greater than or equal to here. Is that a bug? Oh, yeah, num rows should be 1. So rows len should be 1. Did I forget to... No, I said it right here. Huh. Okay, I'm confused. Print len self rows len. It should be 1. Oh, right. I got to put an OK here. Control Q. Oh! Now I have an extra blank line here. Maybe I didn't do the len thing right. Oh, I see. I messed this up. So this is len if rows len is greater than self width as usize, then len is going to be self width as usize. This is going to be row 0 downline. That's what I messed up. And then we just standard out that. Okay. It's a little awkward getting this twice, but whatever. Oh, we can just do max. Why don't I do that? Rows 0 len min self width as usize. Right? Yeah. Okay. Now cargo run that. We're seeing it twice. Why are we seeing it twice? Oh, because I forgot the equals. This should be greater than or equal to. Okay. Cargo run. Hello world. Okay. Control Q. Done. All right, and let's undo that print I did. Okay. So that was step 57, draw E row. Nice. All right. Now, next, let's allow the user to open an actual file. We'll read and display the first line of the file. All right. So this is file handling stuff, which we can just read in, right? And this is an editor open. I guess we could put it in here, right? We could just give it a file name this way. There's a path thing in Rust, right? Rust path. Standard path. Oops. Okay. Use standard path. And can we do that here? P into path. file name P. Let me do this and see if that builds before I go any further. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, it's a trait. Oh no, into is a trait, right? But doesn't within the path the trait size is not implemented for U8. Required because it appears within type path. So what's a better way to do this then? Impl path? Not a trait. So how do you do it then? I just want to take something, anything that could be a path. Or convertible to path. Rust path into. This just creates the path. Is working with paths always this painful? How do I get path join? How do I get path versus path buff? Okay. That's not helping. I thought there was a way you could say you want something that can be converted into a path. And obviously saying into path doesn't work. As ref path. Or into path buff. Oh, that's weird. P as ref path. So that's a new one on me. Yeah, and now we don't have this, so this is input text. Wow, okay, so that works. Why though? So it's either P as ref path or P into path buff. That way the caller can pass in a path buff stir a string, right, and so on and so on. That's all I was looking for. You know, just pass whatever you want, and then it's as long as it's pathable. But as ref path works for me. So let's keep going with that. And now we want to read the code, or read the file. So before we do anything, this is our editor open function, and I'm calling it new. Are we just reading a single line? Rust read line from file. Oh, that's going to require path buffs and stuff like that. Yeah, see, there it is. As ref path. Okay. Yeah, buff reader lines. I guess what I could do is we're going to read the whole file anyway, right? Let file data equals standard fs read to string file name question mark. Is that going to let me do that? Because this is a different result, unfortunately, isn't it? Expect can't read file. We'll do better error handling later, right? This just does die. Okay, we can do die. If let file data, okay, file data is this, then we're going to return let first line equals, and then this will just be file data split on the new line 0. Oh, next unwrap. Else die fopen. That's the only error message they're giving here is fopen. So I'll do the same thing. Now die doesn't return, but we're still, the Rust still wants to see a string here. Probably, because this is a string, right? What is first line reporting? A stir. Self die? Oh, that's right. Die is, and it needs the self because it needs a string, so we can't just die. But I do want to, I want to check really quickly. Yeah, okay, so this is before we've set raw mode on, so we can just print. We can do the expect thing. If this fails, yeah, okay, we'll do this. Expect unable to open file. That's a little better than fopen, and then we can just say split, and yeah, we'll just do this like that. Right, and that's the first line, and then we're gonna just insert that here. And that doesn't like that. Oh, creates a temporary which is freed. Can I say toString here? That way it's not an str anymore. And it gets copied. Yeah, there we go. So let's see if we can open the file. Oh, I called it input.txt. So let's create a file called input.txt. This is the first line of the file. Here is the second line. Do we need a third line? Okay, so cargo run and see what happens. Oh, look at that. We got the first line of the file right there. Nice. Okay, so this is working. We read this in. And this is step 58. Git commit -m step 58 open file. Try using a char instead. Okay. Nice. Okay, good. Oh, we didn't do argv. We didn't do this part of the step. Oh no. Okay, main. What is it? Stand end vargs. Let args equals standard end args, like that. If argc is greater than or equal to 2, editor open. Oh, so we have to be able to pass in an optional new, let's call this with file, and then we can just say if args.len is greater than or equal to 2, we can do this, args of 1, else editor new. Let's do it this way, yeah. Like that, and then we have the editor start, and this is of course going to fail because we don't have with file, and let's make a with file. This one's called with file, and then we'll call editor new. Editor build, and that'll be a private function. And then pubfun new is result self. And that's just going to take editor build. And then pub, no, not pub, fun build. And the reason I'm doing this is so that I can just do this, a blank string here. Otherwise, first line. And oops, I forgot how to spell pub. This will take into string of data t result self, and this will do the build here, and then down here is just data. All right, let's see if that works. Nope. Oh, toString. Have to make into. There, and then args1. It doesn't like, it can't index that. Nth one unwrap. And start method not found in for unit. This shouldn't be a unit. This should. It's returning result self. Okay, now I'm confused. Oh, I put a semicolon at the end of both of those. That was dumb. Okay, so can't bar args is mutable as it's not declared mutable. Didn't realize I had to mute it to get the nth value out of it. Okay. So if I say cargo run, it should come up with a blank screen. And if I say cargo run input text, it should come up with this is the first line of the file, and it does. Okay, so now I guess this is step 58.1. Git status, git add source, git commit -m, step 58.1, parse arguments. We're sort of parsing the arguments. All right. So the next thing, right? So file fopen getLine. We can do read to string in Rust, but I can't just say read line. I have to do all this extra boilerplate with standard I/O and buff readers. And maybe what we'll do is we'll add a new module that allows us to do that. Let's see what happens when we get there. GetLine is useful for reading lines from a file when we don't know how much memory to allocate for each line. It takes care of memory management for you. First, we pass it a null line pointer and a line cap, line capacity of 0. That makes it allocate new memory for the next line it reads and set the line point to that memory, and set the line cap to let you know how much memory it allocated. Its return value is length of the line it read, or -1 if it's at the end of the line, or end of the file. All right. We strip off the new line or carriage return. So I'm doing that just by splitting on new lines. If your compiler complains about getLine, you may need to define a feature test macro. No, thank you. Feature test macros: default source, BSD source, or GNU source. We add them above our includes because the header files we're including use the macros to decide which features to expose. Now let's fix a quick bug. We want the welcome message to only display when the user starts the program with no arguments, and not when they open the file, right? Because right now, if I say cargo run input text, we see this thing. And we don't want that to show up if we're opening a file. So that's an easy enough fix to make. Oh, if enumRows is 0. Oh no, it's in screen, right? Can I do is empty on? I can. On a slice, I was going to say. It looks like I can. So now if I say cargo run input text, now the stuff doesn't show up. If I say cargo run without input text, the stuff still doesn't show up. Okay, so there's a bug. Oh, because I put a blank line in there. Right, okay, so that fails. right? Because I'm building this. If data is empty, into is empty, then vec new, else vec data into. That doesn't work because I moved it already when I did this. Let data equals data into. There. Okay, now let's try it. Cargo run blank line. We have the editor displayed. Cargo run input text. And now we don't have the editor displayed. Okay, good. So that is step 60, hide welcome. All right. There, now the welcome message only displays if the text buffer is completely empty. To store multiple lines, let's make erow an array of erow structs. Okay, we don't have to worry about this part, right? We'll still break a bunch of our code that doesn't expect erow to be a pointer. All right, not worried, because we did it beforehand. Now, next, let's move code in editor open that initializes erow to a new function called editor append row. We'll also put it under a new section. Oh, I see. So now we're going to just append. So we already have that, right? Except we sort of don't. So what we can do here is this. Right? And then say if data is empty, then vec new, otherwise vec data. Oh. We could say vec from data. We do that. Right. Won't let me do that. Oh. And then this has to be vec this. Oops. Oh, we could just say this can just be an empty vector, right? Can I do that as an empty vector? No. Cannot infer type parameter t. Oh. Let vec and v equals vec string new. No, that's not how you do it. Vec string equals vec new. There, and now it doesn't like this. The trait clone is not implemented for t. So I can just do plus clone. Expected string found type parameter t. Yeah. So this is getting sloppy, isn't it? I want to either build a, yeah. So why don't we just assume it's going to be a vector of strings like that, and just make it happy that way. Can I do this now? Yeah, that makes that happy. And then so now what we're going to do is we'll read in each row from the file name. And instead of saying first line, what we'll do is we'll say next. Instead of this, we'll say map x to string. And the reason I have to do this map is because split returns ampersand str. That I'll show you. Hang on. If if I do this, that won't work because this is going to be str. Oh, split char. Interesting. Okay, so if I do Shift K here, so if I say collect, right, that's going to fail. Oh, it didn't fail. What is this? First line string. Oh, I thought split was going to return strs, but this looks like it worked. Lines. So we'll call this lines. We'll call this lines. It's already a vector, right? We shouldn't have to vec it up again. Oh, it doesn't know the size at compile time. But it should be a vec. Oh, so let's do vec string. Yeah. With extra angle brackets that I missed out. And now can't build it from iterator of. Yeah, I don't see it says item stir right here. So that's why we have to do the map. I remember having to do maps before here. That's why I was doing it. X to string. Why you can't do that automatically, I don't know. Okay, so now we're going to be able to read all the lines. Does our editor print them out though? Does the display print them out? No, it doesn't, because we said just row 0. So this is editor append row. This is what I'm doing in here. So I don't have to worry about this. Realloc how many rows, right? I don't have to worry about that. Now let's update editor draw row. Kafka says you could probably get away with copy. Copy is not implemented for stir. That's a shame, because that would have been sweet. Cloned? Nope, clone is not implemented for stir either. I wonder if you could say, can it infer the type if I do into? It can. Ha! Okay. But those are good to know. Those are good to know. Let's see. We need now to change our display code. Right, so now we have to loop over. Oh, we're just going to pull it directly from the screen row. That's not right. Right, because if you're scrolling up and down, you want to... Oh, maybe we'll get to that. We'll get to the offset stuff. So we're going to say rows of row. Right, is that what I called it? I called it row. So now each one of those should display as usize. Okay, cargo run. And that works. Cargo run input text. Yeah, okay. Oh, and then we have an extra blank line. That's not good. If I look at... Oh, because there's a new line at the end. So that's something you have to deal with, right? When you're writing an editor to know whether or not... to display that last blank line. All right, maybe we'll get to that part. At this point, the code should compile, but it still only reads a single line from the file. Let's add a while loop in editor open to read an entire file into erow. Okay. Read multiple lines. Yeah, let's call this step 65. Git add source, git commit -m, step 65, read multiple lines. Read and display multiple lines. Okay, good. The while loop works because getLine returns -1 when it gets to the end of the file and there are no more lines to read. Okay, well, I'm not worried about that. Now you should see your screen fill up with lines of text when you run this, for example. Let's try running it with our source editor. Look at that. It filled up with lines. And now we can move around within this, right? course, we still have this issue of we're not paying attention to where the cursor is allowed to go, right? And we can't go off the bottom of the screen and see the rest of the text. Oh, it didn't clear the screen. Is that deliberate? Or is that a mistake on my part? I thought we cleared the screen. Yeah, if I do this, I could... Yeah, I cleared the screen there. I cleared the screen there. Oh, is it only... When I move down here, Control Q. Oh, I see. It only clears from this cursor down. It doesn't clear the whole screen when we exit. So the fact that I was at the bottom of the screen meant... oh, okay. That's a bug. Process key press. So we return true from here. We break. We just disable... Oh, okay. We don't return... We don't clear the screen. But for some reason... So start is the main function, and it doesn't do anything after that. So I'm not sure why it clears to the end of the screen. Right, because we're getting process key press. Process key press returns true, which means stop, and then we just break and disable raw mode. So there must be something in disable raw mode that clears to the bottom of the screen, I guess. Never really thought about it. Okay. I'm not going to worry about it either. Next, we want to enable the user... Kafka says, some editors show the extra blank line. It all depends on if you look at new line as end of line or as a new line. Ah, yeah. So... I think, I mean, I'm used to this way here, right? Where if there's a new line at the end of this line here, but we're not showing a blank line in Vim. But I guess, it all depends on the editor. You're right. So yeah, let's just keep it this way. That seems like the simplest thing. Next, we want to be able to enable the user to scroll through the whole file instead of just being able to see the top few lines of the file. Let's add a row off variable to the global editor state, which will keep track of which row of the file the user is currently scrolled to. Okay, and we initialize it to 0. This is where I really want to have the default thing working, but okay. Row off 0. Okay. We initialize it to 0, which means we'll be scrolled to the top of the file by default. Now let's have editor draw rows display the correct range of lines of the file according to the value of row off. Okay, so we're starting to have an issue here because if I say draw rows, right, now we're passing in the rows and the row offset. How much more is going to have to go in here, right? Before we start saying we have an API issue, an internal API issue. Okay, so if file row is greater than or equal to e, so file row is equal to y plus e row off. Right, and then we check file row here. And we no longer have to as U16 it. And then here, we say file row and file row. Okay. But now we have to actually scroll, right? So this does that part. Compiles but with no observable effects. To get the row of the file we want to display at each Y position, we add eRow off to the Y position. So we define a new variable file row that contains that value and use that as the index into eRow. Now where do we set the value of eRow off? Our strategy will be to check if the cursor has moved outside of the visible window, and if so, adjust eRow off so that the cursor is just inside the visible window. We'll put this logic in a function called editor scroll. So that's back in the editor. I guess we can put it right after move cursor here. We have to get the bounds itself. Let bounds equals self screen bounds. And then we say if, oops, why did I go there? If editors cy, so I have cursor y, self cursor dot y is less than self row off, then self row off is equals self cursor dot y. If self cursor dot y is greater than or equal to self row off plus bounds dot height, then self row off is equal to self cursor dot y minus bounds dot height. Oh, that's a U size. That's a U16, isn't it? So we're gonna have to cast that, right? As U16. As U size. As U size. I should do everything as U size, right? I'm only using U16 because that's what Crossterm is doing. Interpreted as generic, not interpreted as comparison. What? Oh, I have to. Oh. Nope. I thought the cast bound more tightly. Wait, what type is bounds? It's a position. Oh, why? Two warnings because we're not using editor scroll. Kafka says, yeah, Vim Unix tools tend to treat \n as end of line. Yeah, so we're probably going to want to do that eventually too. Refresh screen doesn't. Oh, editor scroll gets called just before refresh screen. Okay. Oh, as the first thing in refresh screen. Okay, so self editor. Let's just call it scroll. Here we go. The first if statement checks to see if the cursor is above the visible window, and if so, scrolls up where the cursor is. Okay, I'm going to make a new window here with a smaller size so we can test scrolling. There, 65 by 18. Okay, so now if I go down, will it scroll? It will. Oh, except it stops. Something's wrong. Can I go up? I can. So if I go down 1, down 2, going down 3 doesn't work. Why? Did I mess up the calculation here? row off is this as usize, right? If self cursor y as usize is greater than or equal to row off plus the bounds y. Bounds y is the screen rows, I hope. Then row off is equal to cursor y minus screen rows as usize plus 1. Huh, okay. So that's not working. And then also, if I go 1, 2, 3 down, I go 1, 2, 3 up. So it's miscalculating something. The first if statement checks if the cursor is above the visible window. And if so, scrolls up to where the cursor is. So the cursor is the location in the file, right? And row off is the location within the screen scroll. Okay, if cursor, so the second if statement checks to see if the cursor is past the bottom of the visible window. If it's greater than or equal to this, hopefully this is doing the right thing here, right? That's what we're looking at. If cursor y as usize is greater than or equal to row off plus bounds y. Let me check bounds. Maybe I have that wrong. X is width and Y is height. Yeah, so that's screen rows. Here's what I'm going to do then, is I'm going to cheat and put this here, self standard out, Q, cursor, move to 0, 0, question mark, Q, print, format, bang, and I'm just going to put width and height, and then we don't have the cursor position here, so we don't know where the cursor is. And then just say self width, self height. And that way we'll see at the top of the screen what the size of the screen is. 6518, right? So if I move down, I'm hitting down and it's not scrolling. And now I'm going up. Oh, is there some other issue here where we're checking oh. Yeah. So I think that's this part here, the move cursor only. Okay, we might have to play with that. Yes. Now let's allow the cursor to advance past the bottom of the screen, but not past the bottom of the file. Okay, that's what I was missing. So left. Right, so this still happens. Right still happens. Up has to be able to go there. Okay, so the change is here is how many rows are there in the file. If self cursor is less than or equal, or is less than self row len. What did I do? Oh, there we go. Self row len. Right? Rows len. As U16. Okay, so now it should work. Right, So we can go down. I wonder why it let me go down any length at all. Okay, so that's working that way. Oh, and now I'm trying to go up and it's taking forever to... Oh, it's not moving the cursor up. Okay. So we have another issue. You should be able to scroll through the entire file now. If the file contains tab characters, you'll see that the characters that the tabs take up aren't being erased properly when drawing to the screen. We'll fix this issue soon. In the meantime, you may want to test with a file that doesn't contain a lot of tabs. If you try to scroll back up, you may notice the cursor isn't being positioned properly. That's because ECY no longer refers to the position of the cursor on the screen. It refers to the position of the cursor within the text file. To position the cursor on the screen, we now have to subtract eRow off from the value of ECY. Okay, so... now we can't do this anymore, right? Move to pause X, pause Y, and we have to subtract. Oh, we have a fancy calculation here. Oh, this is plus ones. We don't have to worry about the plus ones. So all we have to do is say minus self row off as U16. So I should have made row off U16 all along, right? Well, let's refactor that in a second. This isn't screen. Move to. Okay, so it's in editor where we call move to. Self row off. Okay. And so we'll do that here. Minus row off as U16. And I'll refactor row off into U16 in a second. Let's just see if this works. So if we go down and go up. Okay, and I'm gonna get rid of this row column thing. All right, so that's that. Okay, let's refactor usize into U16 here. And that's gonna, oops, like that. And then every place we use it, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So we can get rid of those. We can get rid of that. That can go away. That can go away. Oops. That can go away. That can go away. Don't need any of those. This can go away. And this can go away. And then in screen, wherever we have row off, we just change it to U16. And I messed something up. Oh, as U16. Guess we still need that one. Oh. So this needs to be as usize. There. Okay. That's cleaner. I think that's cleaner. Okay, now let's work on horizontal scrolling. Well, let's check this in first, okay? Git add source, git commit, -m step 70. And that's called, so enable vertical scroll, editor scrolling. Let's just call it editor scrolling. Vertical scrolling. Okay. So now let's work on horizontal scrolling. How far are we in this chapter, by the way? Oh, about a third. We'll implement it in just about the same way we implemented vertical scrolling. Start by adding a column offset variable to the global editor state. And this time I'll start off with a U16. And then we have to set it to 0. Like that. Okay, and now display each row at the column offset. We'll use eColOff as an index into the charts of each E row we display and subtract the number of characters that are to the left of the offset from the length of the row. You can't just do that blindly though. Right? It can't be more than the len. Yeah. Okay, so in draw rows and screen, see, now we need to pass in call off. So down here, this is going to be the length. And then it's saying subtract the column offset. If it's less than 0, the length is, if len is less than 0, then len is 0. Okay. So I can do that len as you okay. Let's do it one thing at a time. Minus call off as U size, right? If len is less than, as U16. As U16 minus call off. Oh, right. So that's going to be a problem. So we're going to have to say if, let's just grab the len like this. If len is bigger, if len is less than call off, then we're going to set len to 0. Else, if len is greater than self.width as U size, then len is equal to self.width. Right? And then we're going to print file row, and we want to start at len. Oh, we want to start a call off. And then go for call off plus len. So I guess we do start end here. Let end equals right. Okay, so let start equals call off as you saw. I'm just trying to organize my mind here. Let end is equal to start plus len. Right? And then we can go start to end here. But we don't want to try it if, see, this is okay in C to reference something that's outside of the bounds of the thing. If our len is 0, we're never going to read from it, so it's not going to be a problem. It's kind of cheating. So instead of saying if len is 0, if len is less than call off, then we'll just continue. There's no reason to do anything further. Right? And then we can just, here we can say the end is going to be if len is greater than self width as U size, start plus, then it's self width as U size, else it's going to be just len. And that way we have start and end. I think this does the trick. Without going into negative numbers. Right? And now we have to do self call off. Okay. Now, note that when subtracting eCall from the len can now be a negative number, meaning the user scrolled horizontally past the end of the line. In that case, we set len to 0, so nothing is displayed on that line. All right, so let's try running this. And I should be able to move now to the right. Come on. Okay. Nope. Oh, we can't do that. We have to update editor scroll to handle horizontal scrolling. Okay. Yep. So that's in scroll here. So we do the similar kind of logic. If self cursor x. Mana says, since you defined everything as usize, you can't actually get negative, right? Well, yeah, so that was the issue. If I did this because they were U16s or usizes or whatever, Rust would panic if we tried to do that. It subtracted eCall off. If eCall off is bigger than the length of the row, then this would be end up being a negative number, and we wouldn't be able to store it into a U16 or a usize, and we would panic. So the reason I did all that crazy code was to avoid panicking. Is less than self call off, then self call off is equal to self cursor.x. If self cursor.x is greater than or equal to self call off plus bounds.x, then self call off is equal to self cursor.x minus self bounds x plus 1. All right, and then we have to modify the scrolling code, right? Yeah. Arrow right. Oh, that's interesting. We don't even have to check. We just increment the cursor x and don't care. I guess we don't keep track of how wide our file is. And what's the warning? Oh, now we're no longer using the screen bounds. Okay, I guess we don't care about that anymore. Good. Okay, so let's try running it here. I'm going to make it even narrower. And now we can use... Wow, it's slow. Nope. We panicked. So there's probably some subtraction I'm doing wrong. And I was trying to be very careful about avoiding the panic. And it might be related to this. Editor refresh screen. Fix cursor positioning. Okay, so let's fix the cursor positioning. Because I think that's what caused the issue here. So all we're doing is subtracting. Okay. So move to, right? And now we have to pass in self call off. And here. Oh, call off. Use 16. So we just subtract this. Right? Okay, so let's see if that fixes that panic. Nope. That didn't fix that panic. No, both CX and CY refers to the cursor position. Okay, so we're probably seeing some error message, and the error message gets blown away. And I don't know how to change that. I wonder if I can do a Rust backtrace. Maybe that'll give me more. Oh, there it is. Panicked that byte index 38 is out of bounds. Line 66 of screen. Oh. Yeah, I thought I did this. Start plus. Blend is greater than self width. Yeah, if blend is greater than self width, then we set the len to be the self width. We start at the column offset, and we're going to go to either the rest of the length of the line, which is supposed to be this, or if it's too long, we're only going to go as far as the width. Which, okay, so this makes sense. Except I don't understand this part here. We don't need this. If len is less than col off, then it's usize, then continue. Then the start is going to be the column offset. The end is going to be the start plus. I don't like the plus down here. I prefer the plus up here. But cargo format's going to reformat that on me. Okay. If len is greater than the width, then we set it equal to the width. Maybe it needs to be greater than or equal. Okay. Let's try again. Well, now it's not wide enough. Okay. Control Q. Sorry, now it's too wide. Let's do this and then try to do this again. Yeah. And the panic is the same thing. Oh. Let's clear the screen and see if we can do it this way. I need to implement the jump word forward command. Okay, and if I do this now, yeah, 63. Right, so I think start and end are wrong here. Is the issue, is I'm miscalculating something. Byte index 38 is out of bounds. So I think what it means is that first line. Oh, it's 75. If it's 75 long, why is byte index 38 out of bounds? Huh. Okay, so maybe this is another place where we're going to overwrite the data. Self, standard out, Q, cursor, move to 0, 0, Q, print. Wish there were a better way to debug this, right? Format, bang. row column. Oh no, start end. Like that. Okay. So now if we make this nice and small, cargo run. So you have 0 to 13. Really? Why is it 0 to 13? And then it says 1 to 51 when I do that. Something's not getting initialized right, huh? Do I need the call? No, the call offset is supposed to start at 0. But it switches to 1 to 51. And then it dies. Oh, wow. The 1 is correct. The 51, what's the width of the screen here? This little guy? Yeah, he's okay, it was 50 wide. I should have kept track of that. Let's make it says 40 wide. And run again. See, it says 0 to 13, and that doesn't seem right. There's something wrong there. So we're at 40 now. There's 40. If I go to 41, it goes 1 to 41. So that's actually correct. Right? I want to print 1 to 41. Why does the first one start out as 0 to 13? Oops. Wrong screen. I'm very confused. So that's going to be 0, start. Len is greater than self width, so that's true. So self width is U size. Does that mean we have the wrong width for the screen? That doesn't make sense. Let's put them all in there then. Right? And then we can just add self width and self height. So we can see that the values are all correct. (40 to 12), and somehow this is becoming 0 to 13. How's that becoming 0 to 13? Oh, we're looking at the final one here. I see. Because we draw everything, right? And then so this is 13. I get it. And then as soon as we scroll, something dies here, and I bet you it's on the next line. Right, because where it dies, unfortunately, we erase the screen. Okay. If len is less than call off as U size, continue. So that just means go to the next row, which is fine. I want to get this working before I end the stream, and I think limiting scrolling to the right. Yeah. Okay, so that's different. That's a different thing. Yeah, let's get this to stop panicking. Start is call off as U size. So that means I wonder if the problem is if I flip these around, I'm going to overwrite my code here. I guess I could put it at the bottom and see, and then that way we can see exactly where it's failing. Right? There's no reason to have to put it at the upper right, so we can just say move to screen dot width. No, we want 0, and then screen dot height -1. Doesn't like that. Oh, self height -1. Okay, so let's go back to a tiny screen. 40. Okay, so it put the dot end here. So I don't see the other things. Yeah, and then it erases. I just want to see what the values are. And apparently that's a... I wonder if I can just print them. What's going to break if I do that? Print line. Or will I just see it? Yeah, everything messes up, but we're able to see it just before it panics. Or I thought we would. And 0 to 15 is what it's dying on. What's the... ToggleMit, thank you for the raid. Unfortunately, I'm wrapping up in about 10 minutes, so and we're stuck right now, which is great. How was your stream? I hope it was good. What we're working on is trying to debug this editor. Esprit de Corps, thank you for the follow. I will pass the rust on, definitely. Maybe Brooks will be streaming soon. I'll wait for him. Zent12, thank you for the follow. All right, thanks again, ToggleBit. Take care. Let's see. So the issue right now is we're panicking on this start to end business, and it looks like our start to end is 0 to 15 for something. Diablo says you quitting soon or something? Yeah, so I typically stream till 9 a.m. Eastern. Which is coming up very, very shortly. Jacksepie, thank you. Thank you for the follow. So if we can figure out why we're panicking here, I mean, the end is going to be start plus. And then if the length is greater than the width, we want to trim it to the width. Oh, the length is the length of the full line, right? It's not the length of the remaining part of, right? So we want to mutate this and just say len is equal to len as minus equal col off. I bet you that's as you size. Blue, green, purpled, purple, red. Thank you for the follow. And Ghost Pants 67. Thank you for the follow. So let's again scroll this down to a nice tiny window so we don't take forever to scroll to the left. And see if this is the... Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that was the bug. Let's get rid of this println because that wasn't even helping. I guess one of the things would be nice to have is a way to get output. So let's run this again. Okay, so we can scroll down, we can scroll up, we can scroll to the right. Yep, and we can scroll to the left. Okay, so we got a fairly decent amount done there. Git status, git add source, git commit -m. And this section was called horizontal scrolling. Horizontal scrolling. Steps 71 through a lot of steps. 71 through 75. Oh, thank you, nobody, for the follow. Okay. So that's good. Should I cheat and go a little longer? Yeah, I probably should, right? All right, so if we limit scrolling to the right, let's do this one section and then, and snap cursor to end of line. Ooh, okay. Let's see. Now both ECX and ECY refer to the cursor's position within the file, not its position on the screen. So our goal with the next few steps is to limit the values of CX and CY to only ever point to valid positions in the file. Otherwise, the user could move the cursor way off to the right of the line and start inserting text there, which wouldn't make much sense. The only exceptions to this rule are that ECX can point one character past the end of a line so that characters can be inserted at the end of the line. And ECY can point one line past the end of the file so new lines at the end of the file can be added easily. Let's start by not allowing the user to scroll past the end of the current line. Okay, so we can do that with where is, so move cursor is in here, right? Yeah, it's right here. So we look for the row, the current row, and if y is greater than or equal to number of rows, then we say null for the row. Otherwise, we grab a pointer to the current row. Okay. And we're going to call it row index. And we can just say if self cursor dot y is greater than or equal to self rows len, sure, then it's saying null. So we just want to clamp it right to the row. I guess we can say sum self cursor y else none. That's the way we do nulls in Rust, right? And then on our right, we're going to check what? We're checking row, and ECX is less than row size. Okay. So if let sum IDX is equal to row IDX, that's this first part here. Then we're going to say if self rows of idx.len is less than self cursor.x, then we can increment it. Right? And then that. So it's saying if we're on a row and we're less than the length of the row, then we can increment the cursor. And that fails. This should have been a U size. Oh, it wasn't a U size. As U16. Wow, this is really annoying. There. Like that. Okay. So now if I go back to my other window here and start again, I should be able to move down to this row and go, oh, it's not letting me go over. So we have a off by 1 error. No, it's not letting me go over at all. I can't go left or right. Well, I can't go left because of this. I can't go right because this isn't working. Self cursor Y as U size is greater than row's length. Oh, I got that backwards then. I got that backwards. Right? If the cursor is greater than the number of rows, if it's past the end of the rows, then we want null. Diablo says, I always am missing your streams because you're on when Toggle is. Yeah, I know. It's just, the timing just works out that way. Unfortunately, I can only stream from 7 to 9 a.m. on Eastern time, Eastern U.S. time. And that's around when Toggle streams too, unfortunately. Okay, so let's see. We can go down. We can go... Oh, we still can't go left. I just changed the logic around and didn't fix it. Yeah, so if row's length is, as U16 is less than the cursor, then we should be able to increment the cursor. That semicolon doesn't matter. And here again, it would be great to be able to have like debug output. Let's say println. This is going to mess everything up, but we can at least take a look at row IDX and see what that is. No, we can't. Option U size can't be formatted that way, but this can. Okay, so let's try that and see what happens. So down, 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 left. Oh, right. Oh, are we stopping us from calling move cursor at all? No, it should call move cursor regardless. There's no check in there. I'm not seeing this. Maybe it's getting overwritten. I bet you it's just getting overwritten. So maybe I can just say panic row IDX and just have it die. What's the warning? Oh, any code following it. Yeah, okay. I don't care. And then we can take a look at what the panic message is. Sum 3. All right. So it's 3. Which means we should be able to get index 3 len, right? Site factor says logic is inverted again. No, don't you want to see if cursor is less than len? Oh, is that it? Is that it? Am I an idiot? See, this is why I don't stream for more than 2 hours, because then I end up being an idiot. Yeah, thank you, Site Factor. Yep, so we can go all the way to just past the end of that. Of course, when you go down, it doesn't stop you from doing that, but right, I can still go up here. So we still don't have this part, the next part, right? Clamping snap the cursor to the end of the line. Okay, so that was step 76. Git add source, git commit. Step 76. There's only 184 steps, so we're going to have an editor pretty soon. Well, within the next few streams anyway. Scroll limits is what that's called. All right, so now snap cursor to end of line. The user is still able to move the cursor past the end of a line, however. They can do it by moving the cursor to the end of a long line and then moving it down to the next line, which is shorter. ECX value won't change, and the cursor will be off to the right of the end of the line it's now on. Let's add some code to editor move cursor that corrects ECS if it ends up past the end of the line it's on. Okay, so that's right here. Move cursor. Oh, this never works. Okay. After we do this, we say, now we're looking for row again. Oh, I see. We have to recalculate it because it could have, if we move down, we have to get the new row. So we can just use shadowing to do that. Let row len is equal to if let some, well, we can just do it in here, right? We can calculate the row len. If the row len, if we have a row, then we get the row size. Otherwise, we say 0. So we can just say self rows of self cursor dot y as usize dot len. So it gives us our row len. Yep. And then we can say if the cursor is greater than the row len, then clamp it. So we can just say self cursor dot x dot max of row len no min. Right, we want the minimum between the two. What's the warning here? Oh, I gotta set it. Right, because if cursor X is lower, then we'll leave it there. If the row len is lower, then we'll move cursor X down to row len. Okay. So let's see if this works. So we can move over a bunch, go down, and it clamps it there. We can move over a bunch, go down, and it clamps it there. Okay. It doesn't move it back, which is what an editor would do normally, right? If I'm in this editor here, if I'm going up, right, it's trying to put it here, but if I go down to a shorter line, it moves it there. If I go to a slightly longer line, it moves it there. And if I go to an even longer line, then it moves it back to where it was. Whereas this one, we move it over, we go down, and it clamps it there, and it keeps it clamped there. So that's that. Moving left at the start of a line. Let's allow the user to press left at the beginning of a line to move to the end of the previous line. Oh, I see. Okay. Let's save that for the next stream. Because I've been streaming for a while. Status, git add source, git commit -m, step 77. And what was it called? Snap cursor. Let's push those up. And where do I have it? Right here. Yeah, ton of commits today. So we did a good amount of work, and oh, SciFactor, thank you for the follow. Let's go raid Brookzerker. Since let's see, building a Brooks platform using Rust and U. I don't know if anybody's seen the Primogen's recent U versus React thing. It was pretty funny. Check it out if you like that sort of thing. Let's see. Let me turn off my music and go check out this raid. And there we go. Okay. All right. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me. I had fun. And thanks for everyone's help. I like the backseating is very much appreciated. Oh, that's that thing. Okay. And tomorrow we'll continue working on the editor. And then maybe Friday we'll get back to we just finished getting set expressions in here, so we'll take a look at methods and initializers on Friday. Anyway, that's the plan. All right, thanks again, and I will catch you next time. Take care.
side?
On the other side.